So welcome everyone. My name is Matt Hardy. I'm a senior manager at Spy Pond Partners. Been here since April, and before that was senior program director for planning and performance management at AASHTO for 13 years, where I was helping out with developing the AASHTO asset management guide. So I'm on the other end of this, actually helping to develop content for it now, specifically for the digital TAM guide. So this is our hackathon kickoff meeting. We're trying something new. I think this is the first time that we've tried this with an NCHRP project, trying to sort of use a hackathon concept to develop some new ideas and content and that sort of thing. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a success. I think it will be, but we'll, part of this is not just, I think, getting new content and new ideas and that sort of thing, but also testing out this concept to see if it works, and maybe we can use it and apply it for other NCHRP projects, because I think sometimes it's good to get the input from the broader community in terms of these tools and resources that are being developed for everyone. So anyways, welcome everyone. If you want to put in the chat, I know that this is a competition, so people might not want to let people know who they are or what they're competing for, but I think we're a very friendly crowd. So if you want to put into the chat who you are, where you're from, how you heard about this, what you're working on, I think that'd be great. All right, so next slide. So hackathon. So I mentioned this idea of a hackathon. It's a noun. So we have a definition here, an event in which many people meet to engage in this idea of collaborative computer programming. It's been around, I would say, maybe for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's sort of in the sort of not everybody's, but modern sort of not literature, but just people talking about and kind of knowing about what a hackathon is. Now, I think when people typically think about a hackathon, it's more of a sort of a short-term, in-person, over a 24-hour period, 48-hour period. We're kind of trying something a little bit differently over a week-long period to try to get ideas and everything from people. So we'll see how it goes. And the idea is that we have this digital guide, the AASHTO Transportation Asset Management Guide. There's a more traditional print version, which you can purchase and download at a PDF, as a PDF, more of a static version. And then when that was developed, which was sort of version 2 of the guide, we also had developed a digital guide. The intent of the digital version of that guide is that it could be updated on a more regular basis. So as different ideas and concepts and practice examples, get created, that we can more easily add those to the digital TAM guide. And with an AASHTO publication, sometimes it takes a little more time and effort to update print version. So that was the idea or the intent of the digital TAM guide, complementing the print version. And a lot has happened since we published that last version back in about 2018, 2019. So this is an opportunity to kind of update the digital version. So for example, with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the idea concept of risk and resilience is a big topic right now for lots of different transportation agencies, not just state DOTs, but transit agencies, local DOTs, that sort of thing. So how we want to incorporate those concepts about risk and resilience into the guide. Another one being sort of carbon reduction, GHG. Maybe that's a topic to include in the AASHTO digital guide as well. But that's kind of what we're looking at. And we're not just sort of creating new content, but there are lots of different, when we created, or when the second edition of the TAM guide was created, we have lots of sort of practice examples, checklists, how-to guides to sort of help practitioners implement asset management within their agencies. With MAP 21 and the FAST Act, when all state DOTs were required to develop asset management plans, we've learned a lot more. We have a lot more examples, practice examples, checklists, and stuff like that that can be created. So we want to try to incorporate that into the digital version more quickly and rapidly. And also, just the way people use websites, technology, that sort of thing has changed and evolved as well. So the idea of, are there ways that we can improve navigation? Are there ways that we can incorporate, mapping, GIS? Is there ways that we incorporate gamification, into this in some way with perhaps the younger generation that might be more into that? So that's what we're trying to sort of get at with this hackathon, or ideas and concepts that we can include in the digital version. And if you're not familiar with the asset management guide, these are some screenshots that I did. So this is the main landing page. It's divided into 7 different chapters that talk about core concepts of asset management. Each of those the chapters has linked content and information related to the topic. There are lots of different resources that you can access. Over here on the right, you can see checklists, how to. You can filter by different topic areas within certain chapters or certain resource types. So we have that built into it from the first version of the digital TAM guide. And then finally, I mentioned sort of practice examples and that sort of thing peppered throughout the digital version of the guide are these practice examples that we'd like to update as well. And maybe there are other ways of doing this, not just new content or new practice examples, but new ways of presenting this information, accessing the information that the practitioners out there have. And then I'll just do a quick little run through of the. So this is the website for the TAM guide. So if you go to tamguide.com, that's where you can access it. Again, fully accessible to everyone. If you click on the chapters, you can kind of see that there are 7 different chapters here that you can kind of access the information. If you want to explore by different topics, we have sort of a different cut in terms of the different topics. So if you want to do more of a deep dive into workforce or life cycle planning, TAM practices, and then finally, the actual TAM resources. So if you're interested in specific resource types, checklists, how to practice examples, references, you can kind of filter however you want to. So again, we're trying to present the information in multiple different ways. Sort of, I think with the traditional publication, it's more linear in nature. But we know that people today are trying to look at it in a non-linear fashion. How do I get information very, very quickly on different topics? So that's why we created the AASHTO digital TAM guide in addition to the print version. So again, tamguide.com is how you can access that, the website, if you didn't know or know about it right now. And this is free to access it. So everybody does have access to that. All right. So the TAM Guide Hackathon, that's kind of what I want to sort of focus on now. But before that, if anybody has any questions about the TAM Guide or anything that I just talked about, you can kind of put it into the chat. I'll try to monitor that as best I can. But I see people are introducing themselves, so thank you very much for that. And if you do ever have a question or whatever throughout this, I'm trying to make this as informal as possible and friendly. Just raise your hand and I will I'll call upon you and you can ask your question. And I'll also have time at the very end for any general questions as well. So what I want to cover over the next 15, 20 minutes, and then we can kind of get into whatever questions you might have, just an overview of where we are with the hackathon. We'll talk about eligibility, which is pretty much anyone and everyone. How do you get started if you haven't sort of, created that idea yet or anything, what the requirements are, the prizes, how we're doing judging, and then some of those resources that are available to you right now. And I do want to thank, we do have a few of the judges that are going to be serving in that as a judge with us today. I see Meredith Hill from Maryland State Highway Administration is on, as well as Omar Asmati is with us as well. I'll get to the judges in a minute. All right, so quick overview. So this hackathon is, starts today and it ends on Sunday, June 11th, 2023. This is our kickoff meeting, number 1. We're going to have a check-in meeting on June 7th at 2 p.m. So that one, there's going to be no formal presentation. It's just an opportunity for the team that's updating the AASHTO digital TAM guide to be here and potentially, answer any questions that you may have, or try to address any technical issues you may have as well. Submissions are due by June 11th, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. As an adjunct professor, having that specificity, I think, is important. We will have an area of the website, tamguide.com/hackathon, that you can submit your entry or multiple entries if you're working on different ones. If there are any sort of technical issues with that, you can always send an email to me, mhardy@spypondpartners.com, and you can submit your entry that way as well. We don't want that to be a barrier to, the technology to be a barrier to you submitting your entry. Judging is going to happen between June 12th and June 23rd. The consultant team will kind of take all the entries, sort them and everything, and then hand them over to the judges. So the first week, the week of June 12th, is when we'll kind of get together and just sort through them, organize them as best we can, and then send them out to the judges for their judging and assessment June 19th through the 22nd. We'll make the winner announcement on June 26th. And then we'd like to offer an opportunity for the winners to present their ideas, their winning entries and ideas during the TRB TAM conference. It's the 14th National TAM Conference. That's taking place July 9th, Sunday, through the 11th. We do have time set aside during a workshop on Sunday afternoon to sort of talk about the results of this hackathon, and we'll have Zoom capability. So if you're able to attend that conference and you win, we'd love for you to show up and sort of talk about your entry, talk about how the hackathon went. And if you're not able to attend, we do plan to have Zoom capability. So hopefully you'll be able to kind of connect virtually and again, talk about your entry, how you thought of it, how it went, that sort of thing. So just to sort of pencil into your calendar, those are our key dates for the hackathon. I kind of touched on this a little bit, but the goals of the hackathon, kind of 5 of them. We're trying to try something innovative that hasn't been done, I don't think, again, with other NCHRP projects. So we're trying to collect new and different ideas, in terms of how the digital guide can be not created, but formatted, structured, so that users, practitioners, can access that information as easily and readily as possible. We're also trying to engage with a broader base of users that might be using, the AASHTO digital TAM guide. So we're looking at, the industry. So we have some state DOT people on here, some transit agencies, which is great, academia, private sector, and then advocacy. So we talk about who's eligible. Anybody's eligible if they want to submit an idea. We, looking to sort of create collaboration among all the different, people who will be participating in this. And also after the hackathon, trying to get that collaboration to keep going, between the research team, those on the NCHRP panel, those that are the practitioners coming up with these ideas, just so, again, further that overall collaboration. Efficiency, we hopefully improve that with developing new ideas and concepts. And then finally, recognition for those who are participating and generate these new ideas. So hopefully it can kind of serve as a resume building activity, if you are one of the winners, you can kind of put that on your resume as hey, I was, the first to win the digital TAM guide hackathon, sort of thing. So hopefully that recognition has some value to you as well. So these are the 8 focus areas. Really, it's 7, and the number 8 is other ideas and concepts. So this is what we're kind of focused in on, but don't limit yourself to these, to here. Where any and all ideas and concepts to improve that functionality of the TAM guide, it would be great to kind of get those from you. So the first one, navigation enhancements. How can we make it easier for people to move around the guide, find information, get access to that information. We think it's pretty good right now, but again, that the overall navigation, that structure of that was created 4, 5, 6 years ago, right? Things have changed. New ways of trying to access information are out there. So any ideas that you have for that you would like to submit, we are welcome. We would welcome those. Any more practice examples that connect with real data and tools that you have access to? That would be great to kind of see. Are there better ways to visualize information or concepts within the digital TAM guide? That would be great. I know there are people that are visual learners. There are people that are, learn by reading, learn by listening. And we are, not to move ahead too quickly, but we are looking at turning the entire sort of digital TAM guide, all the content, the words and everything, into sort of an audio book type series, so that people can access it that way, right? If you can't, I shouldn't say can't read, but if you have challenges reading and it's easier for you to listen to something, we're trying to provide access that way. Again, like to hear your thoughts, your comments. Maybe there's a better way of doing it. We have an example on the web page about how that could happen, but there could be better ways to do it. The fourth one, how can we better use GIS or mapping within the guide to kind of access information or show where examples are? The number 5 here is gamification. Is there a way to apply that concept? Perhaps the younger generation or others, is something of value to them is to access some, the information in a game type manner. So is there a way to sort of add gamification to the guide? Any ideas for web-based training functionalities to be able to get that information, access that information in a better way? Any type of web-based training that might be useful? Do you have examples of that or how it could be presented? Integration, and then finally, integration of multimedia audio and video into the delivery of the content. Again, that I mentioned the audio book type series that we're going to try to be creating to be able to access the information that way. But are there different video concepts, ways of presenting that information to sort of get access to the data, to the information for those that might, be more visual learners or something like that? And then the catch-all, any other ideas or concepts to improve, functionality of accessing and getting to the information within the guide. So it's pretty broad in terms of what we're looking for, but that's sort of just to get the juices flowing a little bit, the ideas and everything. That's kind of what we're looking at initially. All right, I mentioned this, but eligibility, who's eligible? So if you're on this call, on this webinar, you're eligible. Pretty much open to anyone interested in improving the AASHTO Digital TAM guide. So we're not being exclusive, not just to sort of, students, academics, or, researchers, private sector. Any and everyone is welcome to sort of participate and submit their ideas and their entries. So examples, it could be teams. If you want to team up with somebody, awesome. It could be individuals, and it could be student groups. So those are just some examples of who is eligible for this. So we're not limiting this. Sometimes hackathons, the ones that I've seen, are limited to certain student groups or other sort of limitations. But this one, anybody and everyone. So how do you get started? When you register for participating in the hackathon, we did have those 8 focus areas sort of as an idea starter. So the first thing, brainstorm. Which of those 8 focus areas do you want to address? You can kind of read through the current digital TAM guide and see where you think there are deficiencies that could be improved. I know we had a few state DOT people sign up for this, and I think that they've used the guide and they probably have some great ideas in terms of how to improve it in some way. You can build your team. You can try to, if you want to collaborate with some of the people here, feel free to kind of reach out to them. Build your team. If you have questions, you are welcome to email your questions to hackathon@tamguide.com. tamguide.com. We monitor that on a regular basis. You can also email me, and I'll put my email in the chat here, mhardy, MHARDY, at spypondpartners.com. And then we do have a web page on the TAM Guide website, tamguide.com/hackathon, which we have access, lots of different resources available to you. And I'll go over those in a minute, just so you know where they are. But that's kind of just in a nutshell, how to kind of get started. All right, requirements for submitting your entry. So we are creating a submission form on the TAM Guide to submit your entry. You can do multiple entries. You're not limited to one or anything, so as many as you want to do, that's perfectly fine. We are asking you to sort of create or upload a simple short video that kind of talks about what your area, what your idea, what your entry is. You can do that however you want to. You can do that easily via Zoom, or recording yourself on your computer. There are, again, multiple ways to do that. If you have questions in terms of how to do that, please email me, and we can offer you advice and thoughts and comments about that. So as you go through and you create your idea, there will likely be files that you create as part of that, maybe a PowerPoint that kind of walks through, here's how you can improve navigation. Here's an example of a better way of a visual or something like that. We will offer you the opportunity to sort of include any and all supporting documentation about your entry. Please submit them no later than June 11th, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. That's Sunday. Again, if you have any technical issues and it's on the website, please email them to us. We don't want that to be a barrier. And then again, submissions through the AASHTO Digital TAM Guide website, tamguide.com/hackathon. All right, so those are the requirements. Not many requirements. We're trying to be as sort of loose and flexible as we can. So prizes. So what is the prize? Right now, what we have planned is to have a grand prize. So of all the entries that gets submitted, the overall grand prize. It doesn't matter what focus area it is, but we are going to try to have a grand prize overall of all the entries. And then for each of those focus areas, gamification or navigation improvements, et cetera, we will have prizes for those. And then in terms of highlighting or acknowledging those winners, the big ones will be the grand prize. Hopefully you'll be available to sort of present or talk about your idea for that TRB TAM conference. Excuse me. That's on Sunday afternoon. If you're at the TAM conference, awesome. If not, we will create a Zoom connection to have you, again, if you're available, to try to connect you that way. And if not, we can always record you and then have your recording play during that workshop on Sunday afternoon. In addition to that, the grand prize will offer up the opportunity to sort of talk about or to present during one of the FHWA AASHTO TAM webinars. They happen every other month. We'll give you the opportunity to kind of talk about your idea there as well. Professional recognition, and then we do plan to write this up for distribution at the TAM portal, various AASHTO publications, and then various TRB publications. Again, I think that write-up will be, hey, we did have this hackathon opportunity. How did that go? Here are the winners for the AASHTO Digital TAM Guide update. And then similar for the focus area prizes, we'll have up to 5 of those highlight at the TAM workshop on Sunday afternoon at the TAM conference, a similar presentation during the TAM webinar, professional recognition, and then write up for distribution at those sort of different areas. And then just to make sure it's clear, winners, the research team plans to hopefully use your ideas into making the digital TAM guide better. But don't worry, we are going to give you recognition. So somewhere on that digital TAM guide, on that website, that web portal, we will make it very clear that this concept, this idea, whatever it is, was developed by you or your team, and then again, give you that overall professional recognition that you can include on your resume, however you want to. So that's what the prize is, what we've talked about at this point. All right, let me just check the chat here. All right, so judges. So we have 6 great judges for this, representing multimodal, private sector, public sector, academia. So we're really happy with this. So Matt Hobrick, who's chair of the AASHTO Asset Management Committee from Iowa DOT, is one of the judges. Meredith Hill from the Maryland State Highway Administration, chair of the TRB Asset Management Committee, is one of the judges. JP O'Hare from Gannett Fleming, private sector. Christina Torres-Maki from the University of Colorado Boulder, academic. Omar Asmati from Iowa State University, and then Laura Zale from SEPTA, the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. So we have transit on there as well. So a nice mix of judges, multimodal in nature, and covering the different sort of the triangle of practitioners from state DOT, public sector, to private sector, to academic. And then the question becomes, okay, how are you going to actually evaluate this, the overall winners? We don't have sort of a judging worksheet developed quite yet, because we're not sure exactly what entries we're going to get in. But the 4 general categories that we're going to be focusing on is creativity of the idea, the quality, of that idea, can it be implemented, or how can it be implemented, and the potential impact it could have on improving the overall AASHTO digital TAM guide, either delivery of it, being able to access information. So some of these categories are a bit loose. We're going to try to put some more bounds on it, but those are the 4 ideas, the 4 categories of ideas that we're going to sort of focus in on: creativity of the idea, the quality of it, the potential for implementation, and then the potential for impact in general. So 4 general categories. And then resources. So up on the Hackathon website, we do have some resources available for you, and I'll go to that in just a minute. So first off, there is the AASHTO Digital TAM Guide. You can access that at www.tamguide.com. There was a workshop that took place back in December at an AASHTO conference on this specific project, on updating the AASHTO Digital TAM Guide. So it wasn't focused on just specifically how to improve sort of access or implementation of the guide, but it was focused in on what types of resources, content, etc. There's a recording and sort of resources report outs from that workshop, which we have provided a link to. The actual TAM portal that the TAM guide is part of. You might get some ideas there. If you are interested in actually being able to mock up what a different idea for how a chapter or content could be created, or navigation improvements, and you want access to the actual WordPress files, we can give you access to a sandbox version of that. So it's not the actual production version, but it's like a sandbox. You can kind of go in there and kind of test out different things. If you would like access to that, I think we have 2 or 3 people that already have access to that. Email Connor Brown at cbrown@spypondpartners.com, and he can give you a username and password to be able to access the sandbox site. And we would love for you to give you access to that so you can kind of see it and play around with it. And then the last one that I mentioned about the audio files, the audio book concept, we did put up an example of that audio file for chapter 2, a couple sections within chapter 2. So you can kind of take a listen to that and see how that might work. And if you have any ideas in making that better, improve it, or something like that, again, love to hear it. And then all of these resources are available on the Hackathon website. So this is the Hackathon website. We have the overview. You'll be able to submit your entry once we get that form created. Again, all this information that I presented is here, available here on the website. So the judges, key dates are available here. resources, everything that I talked about, and we'll put this presentation up there as well. What the rules are, which aren't many, and then any updates that we have over the next week. And here's where you can sort of download the presentation that I was just going through now. All right, so this is the website again, tamguide.com/hackathon, your go-to spot for everything related to this hackathon. Let me go back to this. All right, so that's all of the information that I have to kind of, start this hackathon. Again, any questions, feel free to email me, mhardy@spypondpartners.com. My phone number there, 571-393-6131. And let me stop there and see what questions people might have. I know we have a couple of the judges on here. I'm not sure of judges. I see Meredith and Omar are on. If y'all have any thoughts or ideas that you want to tell people, and anybody else from the research team. So Kiana Park from Spy Pond Partners, Katie Zimmerman from AppTech, who's one of them as well, one of the on the team updating the guide. Let me just kind of open it up. So Meredith, I see that you turned your camera on.
Just making myself available.
Okay. All right. I don't see anybody else. I don't see any questions coming in. I'm happy to stick around for a little longer if people have questions, but that's all the content information that I have. So I guess the virtual ribbon cutting or whatever for the hackathon. Start your engines. Here's the green flag. Go. Again, if you have any questions, any comments or anything like that, you can put them in the chat. I'll stick around. You can email me. That's probably the best way to do it. You can call me and we'll get them answered. And I think the key thing, if you want access, let me just go back to this sort of sandbox site. Please email Connor Brown, cbrown@spypondpartners.com so that he can get you set up with that with the sandbox site, and you can have free reign for all the WordPress code and files and everything, and test out different ideas that you might have. That's all I got. So thanks everyone for joining us today. We will have that check-in meeting on Wednesday, June 7th at 2 p.m. No formal presentation, just an opportunity for people to kind of get together. And if you have any questions or comments, we'll see how it is going. Thank you very much for registering and signing up. And I really do look forward to kind of seeing what entries we get from this. So thanks everyone. Have a great day. And again, I'll just stick around if people have questions. Thanks, Meredith. Thanks, Omar, for being here.
Thanks, Matt. Matt, do you think it would be beneficial if we show up to the check-in meeting on the 7th?
It can't hurt, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, this was exciting. I'm looking forward to viewing these entries. Should be fun.
Yeah, I think it will be.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye.